Coming up, gunfire breaks out at a Fargo restaurant, the latest on the investigation. Governor Burgum spends nearly $1 million to support candidates running for office. And a former employee of the Mayo Clinic is suing the hospital after she was fired for not taking the COVID-19 jab. Hello and welcome to the Nightly Review. I'm Tom Tucker. We begin with a look at tonight's headlines, then a closer look, with comments tonight from Dr. David Cook, the new president at North Dakota State University, who is now serving in his first week in the position. He'll talk about how he wants to connect with business leaders across the state. And in tonight's one-on-one conversation, how and why education standards will soon be changing for students in North Dakota's public schools. But first tonight, Fargo police are on scene of a reported shooting in South Fargo. Initial calls came in from the Plaza Azteca Mexican restaurant off 28th Avenue South around 1:47 this afternoon. We're told a woman and her baby were both shot. Both the mother and the child are now in critical but stable condition. Police say the suspect drove away from the scene and later rolled the vehicle in Clay County, and sometime later he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There are no other injuries reported. Track the latest on this developing story at WDAYRadioNow.com. Also tonight, a man was arrested in Fargo after police say he brandished a gun. Police say it happened in a parking lot last night during an argument in the 4900 block of 44th Avenue South near Southtown Poorhouse. We're told the 29-year-old man was involved in an argument with a group of people before everyone left the scene. The suspect was later found and detained, and police say he was cooperative during the investigation. So far, no charges have been filed. A pair of incidents at the Corners apartment complex in Moorhead early this morning. Moorhead Fire says the laundry room at one of the buildings off 19.5 Street South caught fire around 1 o'clock in the morning. Authorities say the fire began in a dryer and the blaze was quickly put out. Then, a few hours later, police responded to the same apartments for a report of a man assaulted at the complex. We're told the suspect is now facing charges of assault and burglary. A South Fargo man says his dog was attacked and injured by an unleashed dog. The attack happened in the 900 block of 4th Street South, where Rod Height says he kept his dog on a leash in their backyard. Height says one of two unleashed dogs passing by bit and latched onto his dog's chest. Height says his dog sustained a minor wound and will recover. Fargo has a leash law for when dogs are not on their owner's property. Well, planting is underway in the Grand Forks area. Grand Forks farmers took advantage of a break in the weather and began planting Monday. North Dakota State University Extension agents say further north in Walsh County, only 1% of all crops have been planted so far. Farmers say spring wheat and sugar beets are two crops that need to get into the ground as soon as possible. Fargo School Board candidate Melissa Birkeland says the recent endorsement from the Fargo Education Association is an acknowledgement of the focus of her campaign.
The reason I'm running for the school board is really to support our educators, and so this was a really meaningful endorsement to me because that was just echoing one of the main reasons I'm running for the school board.
Birkeland, who also serves in the U.S. Attorney's Office, says her law background could help with being able to manage disagreements and make good decisions for the betterment of the entire district if she's elected this coming June. Well, 3 North Dakota schools are getting new fitness centers. Governor Doug Burgum and Jake Steinfeld, the chairman for the National Foundation for Governor's Fitness Council, announced the selections. The Don't Quit campaign has named Jim Hill Middle School in Minot, Rolla School in Rolla, and Solon School in Solon as the recipients of the new centers. The schools were named by the organization as the state's most outstanding for demonstrating leadership and keeping their students fit. Governor Burgum is spending his own money to support conservative candidates. Campaign finance records show Burgum has personally donated more than $930,000 in the past month to the Dakota Leadership PAC. The Political Action Committee supports several candidates and spent nearly $3.5 million on advertising in 2020. The Mayo Clinic is now facing a lawsuit from a former employee. The clinic fired more than 700 employees in January who didn't take the COVID-19 jab by a company deadline. The new lawsuit is claiming Mayo predetermined the terminations and did not perform any individual case reviews before the layoffs. The former employee says Mayo terminated her after turning down her request for a religious exemption. On a lighter note tonight, a Minneapolis woman is celebrating two significant events. Betty Sanderson recently turned 84, then graduated from the University of Minnesota just days later. Sanderson graduated May 7th with her bachelor's degree in multidisciplinary studies. She began college back in 1955 and earned a certificate from the U of M to become a licensed practical nurse. Congratulations to her. In a closer look tonight, Dr. David Cook has officially started his duties as the 15th president at North Dakota State University.
I have a bunch of ideas, but I really need to do a little bit better job hearing from everybody. I've only been up here a few times. I've spent a lot of time on Zoom calls and team calls, but I still got more work to do. For sure, just continuing the mission, being student-centered.
Dr. Cook began work Tuesday and is taking over for Dean Brashani, who had been with NDSU since 2010. Cook was previously Vice Chancellor of Public Affairs and Economic Development at the University of Kansas. In his first remarks as president, Cook said he wants to see how the university is aligned with the economic needs of the state and wants to connect with business leaders.
Bring in business leaders, companies, industry, and ask them what they are interested in and what they need. And we take a look at the curriculum that we have put together and we overhaul that or tinker it or say, hey, wait a minute, they may not know we're already doing great things. So putting that together, having them help us educate our students the right way.
Dr. Cook says he wants to spend more time with students in the coming days and wants to maintain what he calls a student-centered approach during his tenure as the university's president. Well, if you find the Nightly Review a good way to stay on top of the news and happenings from the FM Metro, please be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button below to make sure you're always up to date. Weather conditions turned a bit gusty at times this afternoon across the region. Will we see more wind in the forecast? Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki has answers from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Thanks, Tom. Will remain partly cloudy through this evening with wind turning to the west-northwest around 15 to 25 miles per hour. We'll have a slight chance for a few isolated thunder showers and a couple of storms possible into central Minnesota. Tonight, partly cloudy conditions will continue. We'll drop down to a low in the mid-40s with wind lightening up out of the northwest, and light winds will continue on your Thursday. Scattered rain showers take over throughout the afternoon with highs in the mid-50s, and we'll see it turning windy by your Friday. It still remains cloudy with a few scattered showers across the area. High temperatures will be in the mid-50s.
It could happen to you or someone you love. One moment, one diagnosis can change everything. Thankfully, there's a program that helps caring people uplift families through a crisis. Lend a Hand Up, raising financial help and hope through community benefits and online campaigns. A program that boosts generosity so gifts go further. Lend a Hand Up helps you help your neighbors. Learn more and give at lendahandup.org.
Welcome back to the Nightly Review. The topic for tonight's one-on-one conversation is the effort now underway to revise education standards for math and English for North Dakota's public school students in grades K through 12. The Superintendent for Public Instruction, Kirsten Baszler, says the revisions are routine and take place roughly every 5 to 7 years under the direction of the state legislature. Baszler explains the process.
The North Dakota legislature directs the state superintendent of public instruction to keep North Dakota standards in every content area. And so it's my responsibility and the people that I work with in the office, the people that I lead in the office, to update our math, English, science, social studies, music, fine arts, physical education, the list goes on and on. So any subject that is taught in the state of North Dakota, it's up to the state superintendent's office to set the standards of what should be taught and learned in every grade level, kindergarten through 12th grade. And so essentially standards are very different than curriculum. So the state is responsible for setting the what students should be able to know and do at every grade level. And then local school boards and their school superintendents, their leaders within the local school districts decide the how. So if it says students should be able to multiply double-digit numbers by the end of 3rd grade, That's what students should be expected to do by the end of third grade. And school districts then decide what type of teaching practices they would use, what type of curriculum. By curriculum, we mean worksheets or textbooks or things like that. So these standards are the what students should know and be able to do. And that gives an opportunity then for our school districts to say, okay, we need to teach double-digit multiplication by the end of third grade. What are the best resources that is best suitable for the communities, our students in our community?
So how does the process work in terms of gathering input and involving all the various constituents?
So that collaboration is very important to us. And so we have developed a new process, actually, understanding that families, communities are very engaged, and they're an important component, an important stakeholder within what occurs at our schools, and what the expectations of our taxpayers, the expectations of our families, of what students, what families want their students to be taught, and how they want them to learn. And so the process is we put out a call to invite all North Dakota teachers to write these standards. So the Department of Public Instruction doesn't write the standards. We actually facilitate the process. So we invite North Dakota teachers of math and English to be the writers of these standards. And we select, we actually, try to select a broad group. So we have preschool teachers. So we know what type of skills students are coming to us in kindergarten, so we don't overshoot the moon, and we are able to set reasonable standards for kindergarten. We have elementary teachers, middle school teachers, high school teachers, and we actually have university and college teachers of those English and math, so we don't undershoot the moon either, if you will.
For parents and anyone else who might want to be involved in the process, how and when can they do that?
So I would say the best time for them to contribute would be look for the announcement. We put out press releases. We try to get as much media attention as we possibly can. Look for that first announcement for the comment period to come sometime in August. So late July, early August. Look for that press. They can always call our office and we can put them on a list saying, please inform me when the first draft goes out. And then Dale and I, our public information officer, keep that list, and we make sure that they get a direct link to those standards. So we can, if they want to call now, not worried about forgetting about it when they're in the midst of lake time or summer barbecues. If they want to call, we can put them on a list. But I would say just pay attention to make sure that you are commenting in that first comment period. And then when we ask for the review committee, we'll be asking for that in early fall. Please consider applying as a parent or you don't even have to be a parent or a family member. If you're a person that has integrated math, if you're a businessman and said, you know what, I know how important math is, or I know how important writing skills are, and I have something, please consider volunteering your time to be part of that review committee. We'd welcome you with open arms.
I'd like to thank North Dakota Superintendent of Public Instruction, Kirsten Baszler, for joining me for tonight's one-on-one conversation to talk about the efforts to revise learning standards for math and English for North Dakota's public school students. I'll work to keep you posted on when the first draft is available for public review and comment. Baszler expects the new standards to be adopted next spring for use in the 2023-24 school year. Well, that will do it for this nightly review for this Wednesday night, May 18th, 2022. I'm Tom Tucker. Thanks for watching the Nightly Review.